Hello, divine beings. This is now, we're halfway there of the Author Talk series for my new book, Journey from the Ego to the Heart Center. You can now place an order if you are feeling that you are resonating with the message in this book. You can now start to feel the journey that we are going through now as I talk about my experience. We're still in the 4D, we're still looking at duality, we're still unraveling the ego, finding the shadow, doing the dark night of the soul, and now I'm doing the deep work in chapter 10, and this is called Healing the Inner Child. So I never knew what this term was, and this has been coined by Dr. Shefali, who is a famous clinical psychologist. She's based in New York, but she's got an Indian background. So I could totally relate to her as a Sri Lankan. I get it. I understand her culture. I understand where she's come from. And when I started to listen to her work as a parenting coach, I was gobsmacked. I was in awe. I was inspired. And I wanted to taste it. I wanted to learn this technique, conscious parenting. And I knew it was completely different to how I was raised. I was raised in a household, yes, it was firm, fair and friendly. There was a bit of authoritarian because my father was the father figure. He made the call, whereas my mum was more the divine nurturer. And she would sort of balance it and say, don't worry, I'll work on him if I have to. But all in all, there was a contrast with my parents. One was very nurturing and that really divine mother, and then I had the masculine that was very firm and was quite set in his ways. But there were times where he would challenge and question why I needed to go out or do something, and in some ways I'm glad he did that. He was protecting me. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But I knew that I did not want to raise my children in that manner. It didn't sit with me. I remember reading lots of parenting books, and I just didn't feel right about the techniques and the timeout and feeling like the child had to be punished. I thought, that doesn't work for me. It doesn't vibe. And I knew I had to find something else. And what I liked about Dr. Shefali, instead of pointing the finger at the child, we need to point the finger at ourselves. And she was teaching us to reparent ourselves, to realize that our ego was created when we were quite young to protect us, because we were raised by unconscious parents. They only knew what they knew. Like whatever they were raised, they passed on the same sort of style. And it's only till you break that generation of parenting and step outside and then unlearn and then relearn a new technique that is more aligned to heart-centered wisdom and higher emotional intelligence, that you start to witness, this is the ego that was parenting all these years. It sometimes even feels like a transactional love. But with conscious parenting, there's no transaction. It's unconditional love. It's radical acceptance of your child as they are, even in their ordinariness. And it's loving them and honoring them for their essence, for the spirit of who they are. You're not projecting your expectations or projecting that, you're a mini me and this is how you need to be, and this is my dream for you to be the sports person or to be the doctor and the lawyer. Like, you're not planning their life before they're even born. You're giving them the opportunity to present what they enjoy doing, and then you're there as an ally, as a guide, as a mentor, as a coach to help them achieve that. And if they don't want to do that, that's okay. You let go of this feeling that you have to fix them, because you don't have to fix them. You're not there to control your child. They came through you, but you don't own them. And that's a really hard thing for many parents to sit with, to feel that they can't control their child. No way. I gave birth to you. You're mine. But conscious parenting teaches you to let go of the control, to let go of this feeling that you own that little person, because you don't. And the only way you're going to get to conscious parenting to understand it is when you let go of the ego. And you might have to have many, many deaths of the ego to come to that place. And I only could hear the message and only could practice what Dr. Shefali was teaching us through her courses and her workshops and her modules, only came when I started to peel my ego away. And then I was able to come from my heart center and truly feel into it. And it was a lot of work. Like chapter 10, I really had to heal my inner child. She was very wounded. And, she was raised with limiting beliefs, and this is what a female, a daughter must do, or a wife must do. And in some aspects, maybe I was trying to model my mum. And there are beautiful qualities, don't get me wrong. I love what she did and how she raised me. But there's also things that I can do better. I know I can. And I've got to use my voice, and I've got to speak my truth, and I've got to be authentic. So that's what I love about this chapter 10. It's like I'm sharing with you some really deep truth bombs for you to sort of see, how does that feel as the reader? Does it trigger you? Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Because it's your ego. It won't be you. Your higher self, your soul, won't be bothered by it. It will be your ego that will question this technique of parenting. And that's what I like about chapter 10. It's like really tapping into your little ego and just chipping away and seeing, do I ruffle your feathers? Do I make you feel uncomfortable? Or you might just go, oh my gosh, this is amazing, I want to learn it. And you're just lapping it up because you know that you're ready for it. You're ready to hear it. You're ready to practice it. You're ready to fully step in and realize that the word parenting has nothing to do with the child, but actually has to do with us, the adult. We need to reparent ourselves. And that's what I loved about when I enrolled in her courses. They were the best. Like, they really are deep dives. You've got to do the work, you've got to journal, you've got to write your whole life and see your patterns. And I could witness like how many times I was the little girl trying to people please, trying to please mum and dad, trying to do good and listen to authority and respect my elders and almost be like submissive. And it's like sometimes it can be a detriment, because as you become an adult, you don't use your voice because you feel that as a woman you have to be in your place, because that's what you were taught as a little kid. Don't talk back, don't question authority. And that's what happens. We lose our sovereignty. And what I've learned through conscious parenting is that not only have I reclaimed my sovereignty, but I've given permission for my own children to step into their sovereignty and to be authentic. And it's okay. I love you as you are. I don't expect you to be on this pedestal of the perfect child, because there is no perfect child. We're all going to have these little egos even in our children, but if we can model how to tame it, how to sort of not let it get in the driver's seat, they'll start to sort of mimic that as well. And that's what my role as a parent, I need to practice being the best version of myself so my children can see that and follow through. And if I mess up, that's okay, because I'm human. I'm not perfect. And I'm, like I said, I am the student and the teacher at the same time. And so this chapter invites you to also scan on the QR code. You can see it there. And there's a video about a deep dive conversation with Dr. Shefali. Watch it. See what resonates with you. What can you take away? Because what I've learnt with conscious parenting too, you don't have to have a child to practice it, because it's your journey. So it's reparenting yourself. So that not only improves your relationship with the self, it improves your relationships with your own parents, with maybe your siblings, maybe your friends and other family members that you've had conflict in the past. So don't think of conscious parenting as only for parents. I think everybody can get a lot out of conscious parenting, just for parenting themselves and loving their inner child again, reconnecting to that beautiful little boy or girl that felt the least loved, the least seen, the least validated, the least heard, and saying, I see you, I love you, and you're enough. So that is the chapter that I want to express. Please look into it, see what resonates with you, what you can learn from it. As I say in the book, I say we owe it to our children, not only our children, I'm going to add in, and ourselves, to show up in the best versions of ourselves that are the most present to our emotional needs. We cannot expect our own children to self-regulate and self-soothe if we are not willing to do this ourselves. So our jobs as parents or as professional human beings is to lead by example rather than expect it from others, expect it from our children without any lessons on how to do it. Previous generations were based on a patriarchal, hierarchical style of parenting, imposing cultural and religious beliefs to meet their egoic needs. This is something that needs to change if we want our children to grow up as adaptable adults who can handle their emotions and relationships in a healthy, safe, and balanced way. So that is it. Are you willing to raise yourself up? Are you willing to step into a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of EQ, emotional intelligence, and connect to your heart-centered wisdom? Because if you are, I know that you are going to love conscious parenting just like I do. Bye for now.